Hello everyone, this is Ray Stundle, publisher of Customer Engagement Magazine and the author of the Customer Engagement Manifesto. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. Between June 29th and July 2nd, I was invited to the National Speakers Association's annual meeting in San Diego, California. This was an incredible event and I'm so happy I was able to join the folks at this meeting and to provide some coverage of what happened there so that you can learn from it and perhaps get involved in the National Speakers Association moving forward. Special thanks to Stacy Magnuson and Shep Hyken for helping make that possible. So let me tell you a little bit about this program and why I think it's relevant to you. This organization is a very professional, caring organization that really helps colleagues, members of the organization, grow and expand to fully develop and serve their customers as they champion their message across the globe and across various organizations. Now, I know what you might be thinking to yourself. You might be saying, Ray, I'm not a quote-unquote professional speaker. It's true that these individuals do command a fee for speaking to an audience or for training an audience on a variety of subject matters for which they are an expert, but I'd like to suggest that if you're a professional and that you speak, you're a professional speaker. It's very important that you know how to communicate and you understand the nuances between both the science of speaking and the art of speaking. Both are very important. The science might involve the content. The art involves the delivery. How do you communicate in a way that's compelling, interesting, and really retains the attention of your audience? So in this video, I'm going to do my best to recap some of the key things that I saw and witnessed at this event and share some of the learnings. I'm going to do my best to keep this video short. Please realize this was a multi-day event. I was there for 4 days. So I'm going to do my best to recap a few of the key things that I think is important for you to know about. And I encourage you to check out the National Speakers Association for you to develop yourself as a speaker, to develop yourself as an expert, a thought expert, and especially if you're in the business and you're involved in training and educating others in a certain area, this is really a great organization for you. So the first area that I want to jump into is the Storyteller Peg by Doug Stevenson. National Speaker Association provides a number of breakouts in addition to the keynote addresses. And in this talk, I really enjoyed what Doug had to say. You see, Doug presented a third dimension to what I've just talked about, the content and delivery. And that third dimension is the art of theater. You see, we have grown up in a culture for a long time where we like to tune in and watch what's happening between two people, whether it's on television or the theater. And when you're able to use techniques that he describes in his great book, all about how to bring theater into the delivery of your talk, you become a whole lot more interesting. He talked about in moments and out moments. An out moment is when you are narrating and speaking to an audience. An in moment is that when you go into the scenario that you are in when you're telling a story and you act it out. And that's very powerful because when you turn in and you act out that story as if the audience is not present, they are just glued to watch you and how you are telling the story. I'll give you an example. Suppose that you're on an airplane and you're taking your luggage out of the luggage container and something happens to you. One thing is you could just say, I was taking my luggage out of the luggage container. Another thing is that you can show how you lift up, you're reaching for something, you're grabbing something, you look forward, you see something happening, and you bring the audience into that story. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This is a business magazine. Why are we talking about storytelling? Well, I want you to know that if you give a talk to anyone, they will always remember your stories and they may or not remember your points. The reason we use story in speech is so that we can open up the mind wide enough so that they can get our main point. So, and this follows the Bill Gove teaching model, which I'm a student of. I've attended this Bill Gove speech workshop. I highly recommend it. My friend Steve Siebold and Don offer that program. And basically the Bill Gove model, which you may want to research, and this comes all the way back from Mark Twain in terms of looking at speech construction and approaches, is all about telling a story, making a point, telling a story and making a point. And what we're talking about here is the art of telling that story and injecting theater into that. So let's move on now and talk about some of the other things I noticed when I was at the event. You see, there's a lot going on there and some really incredible people. Steve Forbes was there. I actually had an opportunity to talk with him briefly. And he talked about what's happening in the macroeconomic environment, very much aligned with the ideas that I share in the Customer Engagement Manifesto, in terms of what's happening with our monetary policy and some of the more macroeconomic variables. It's really important that you all understand what's happening there, and I urge you to go to customerengagementmanifesto.com and take a look at this pretty elaborate document that I wrote that can help you understand what's happening at a bigger picture and how that relates to the business that you're in. Nancy Duarte was there. She's amazing. She's the author of multiple books. Resonate is one that you might be familiar with, Slidology. And she was really able to take a look at deconstructing the speeches, very famous speeches over time, like from Steve Jobs and from others, and taking a look at how the speaker was able to communicate a message and the valleys and the tips and the valleys of a talk, and how that talk was purposely designed to hold the attention of an audience. You really could. We can do a whole video just on Nancy Duarte's material. And if you love Nancy and you know her, would love to have her in the magazine. So feel free to mention this on Twitter or Facebook. We'd love to feature her in the magazine, as with Steve Forbes. And that's just somebody that we are approaching, and hopefully we'll have him in the magazine shortly. Another person that I really enjoyed was Sean Stevenson. Sean Stevenson, he gave an amazing presentation where he communicated so eloquently, so transparently, and so authentically. Sean, I hope you're watching this video. We loved your talk, absolutely loved it. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about Sean's talk and his message was really the power of dreaming. Being able to imagine where you want to be in the future, and through life takes you through a variety of different avenues. But ultimately, if you hold that dream close and you're willing to work for it and work diligently, you can get there. And he told this really funny story about him in the White House. And it's so funny. I'll just tell you briefly. He saw himself as being the president one day of America. And over a variety of different things that happened in his life, he eventually ended up working in the White House. And he saw the president coming out of the Marine One, the helicopter, and he goes out to meet him. And that really set off a lot of alarms. And pretty soon he had a whole bunch of red dots on him, and it really didn't made for a rather uncomfortable situation. But anyway, I'm not doing justice to the story. The way Sean tells it is really much funnier, and within the context of his message about dreaming and being able to really move to where you want to be in life. We also had the real benefit and the gift of listening to Kat Cole. If you don't know who Kat Cole is, she is a power woman. She is the president of Cinnabon. You know those very flavorful pastries you find in malls? Well, Kat's the president of this organization, and what I really love about her is the way she's able to unite the whole organization around a purpose and a mission to serve customers in a way that really exceeds expectations in the marketplace. And she just did a great job of communicating some of her strategies and tactics, and is a very eloquent speaker, and would really love to also see her in the magazine sometime in the future. G.J. Hart. If you don't know who he is, you want to take a look and research him. He's the CEO of California Pizza Kitchen. He also shared some really powerful material, and one of the messages I remember is the importance of really focusing in on the employees, so that the employees are part of an organization and a customer that's employee-centric, but ultimately customer-driven. And he shared some interesting stories in the past with how he was asked to make certain hard decisions, which he decided to take the higher road and protect his employees, and built a lot of trust and a lot of loyalty in the organization. Some of the other folks that I really enjoyed is Giovanni Lavera. And Giovanni Lavera, he gave a really great talk all about storyboarding. Now, when you think about some of the masters who deliver stories, they do it in a very choreographed manner. It's like going to a play. There are certain things you say and do, and there's certain motions you make as you deliver a story, and the whole construction of the story needs to have peaks and valleys in a way that really captivates the audience. And his methodology of storyboarding is fascinating, and he talks about something called audience impact moments. And an audience impact moment is really where you're able to heighten the intensity of your message and captivate your audience at the same time. In addition to this, I also had the benefit of attending some of the social events that take place at the National Speakers Association. There is the exclusive foundation tasting dinner, and this is an opportunity to interact with some of the key people in the industry. Some of the key people that I met that were at this event are folks like Ken Blanchard and Brian Tracy and Randy Gage and Tony Alessandra and my friend Don Hudson. And Don, incidentally, he won the Master of Influence Award, which is a very prestigious award that is given each year. And Terry Murphy was also there, and many of our friends in this industry, many of the folks that you have seen in the magazine, as well as, of course, Jim Cathcart was also there. We shared dinner together one evening in San Diego. I have to tell you, Nido Kubain's lamb chops were delicious, and those lamb chops were a recipe he offered for the exclusive foundation tasting. In addition to this, we also had another social activity called the NSA Foundation Concert, and Jason Hewlett was one of the speakers who really had an amazing ability to communicate and use his face to articulate a message. He could contort his face and his chin, and the way he can manipulate his face to emphasize a point or to act was just incredible. I also really enjoyed Kelly Swanson. Kelly Swanson gave an incredible talk where she told the story of a young girl in a small town who wanted to ascend and wanted to grow and wanted to really develop herself into a person who basically fulfilled her full potential. And that really was a story about her. And what I found incredible, I say amazing a lot here, but it was amazing. What can I tell you? She had a whole talk created and scripted that completely was poetic, and it rhymed. I mean, can you imagine creating just a short poem which has some rhyme to it? And she created a whole talk. And it was very powerful and very enjoyable to listen to. Some other key things I'd love to share with you here is Jim Quick. Jim Quick had some interesting stories to talk about some of his work with the superheroes of the movie's now escaping me. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to come back to that. I'm going to put that in the notes below this video here. But anyway, Jim Quick talks about accelerated learning, and he shared a number of ideas as it relates to how to be a more effective learner, to remember things. I also was very much impressed with Carmen Agra Didi. Carmen is an amazing storyteller. Yep, there it is, that word again. She really has the ability to tell stories. I encourage you to look on TED Talks, and you will find that she is able to communicate in a way that really shows her passion. And she really allows the audience into her soul in terms of how she tells her story. And she's willing to tell stories and tell them in a way which is very personable. So there's a lot that was learned by listening to her and attending her workshop. That's one of the things I really love about the NSA, is that they don't only have big events, but they also have workshops where you can really focus in on what it is that you want to learn to get better and better. Another group that was very interesting to be a part of was with Kevin Harrington. You may know of him from Shark Tank. He was there with Alan Wise and Roxane Emmerich and Bill Barak. And they basically conducted a session like Shark Tank, but for speakers, where different individuals would go up and would share their business plan and ideas for what they wanted to do in the marketplace, and they gave feedback, which was really good to listen to and to see how they're thinking in terms of the bigger picture. One of the things that's really important in a talk is humor, being able to be funny. Now the question is, how do you make your talks funny. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's something I've been challenged with too. And I had the benefit of listening to Tim Gard, George Campbell, and Mark Mayfield deliver an incredible talk where they broke down the approaches and the strategies to take information in everyday life and be able to break it down based on scenarios, based on words, based on times and places, to ultimately find things that are funny in your stories and how to bring that forward. Just like to also mention that the awards banquet with the Cavett Award and the Master of Influence Award was really great to be a part of. And my friend Don Hudson, who's been on the cover of the magazine, was awarded this very prestigious award. Very, very happy and proud of him, and he very much deserves it. And in addition to this, it was great connecting with some of our other friends in the industry, friends of the magazine, like Brian Tracy was there, Nito Kubain, as I had mentioned before, and many others. So I just want to let you all know that this is an incredible organization. It's one that you should pay attention to, whether you're a professional speaker or trainer or not, because I want to bet that the fastest way for you to get from where you are to where you want to go professionally is to learn how to be more articulate in the way you communicate, and that involves theater, it involves story, it involves delivery, it involves content, and it involves being a likable person that the audience is glued to and wants to learn from. So I hope you enjoyed this recap. If you are watching this video and you're organizing an event or a conference that you believe is aligned with what Customer Engagement Magazine is all about, and you think it would be beneficial for us to cover your event, feel free to get in contact with us and we can discuss some of those details. So till next time, have yourself a great day.